Okay, so I picked up this old server from Facebook Marketplace for around $80. So it's probably over 10 years old. And wanted to play around with some home lab services, install a private large language model on it, and use it for some tool automation. So I'm going to share a little bit about what I did. I'll put links in the description for the tools that I was using. So first thing I did was I removed the Windows installation and put on Proxmox. So Proxmox is a virtualization platform that allows me to host different virtual machines or Linux containers. So the hardware itself has like a 12-core Intel Xeon E5. Also has a GPU, so it's a NVIDIA GTX 960, around 2 gigs of VRAM. And so I thought, okay, there's enough here to play around with. Okay, so one of the first things that I did, I put a couple of like media servers on it, nothing too crazy, and I also have like an Ubuntu server VM on there that I use for coding and playing around with other stuff. But one of the first things that I wanted to try was putting on a container which hosts a large language model. So I put on a container, and I used a tutorial, and I can share this link below, to allow pass-through of my NVIDIA GPU so that the container was going to be running the large language model on the against the video card. So I put it on there. Like I said, it's a very old GPU, so the models that it can hold is like with a small memory. So the models that it can hold are pretty small. So it was really just as a kind of a learning experience. But I got it working. So I have this container here, which is running Ollama. I installed a small model. It's a Gemma 3 1 billion parameters, and I can access it through another container. So in another container which is running here, I'm using the Open Web UI, and I can connect the two in settings here. So if I go over to my settings, you'll see that on the admin settings that I can have different connections here, and I connect to my locally hosted Ollama, which is on that, running on Proxmox. So let me just get out of here, and I can go back to just a new chat here. And if I go now, I also have it connected to OpenRouter for public models, but for local models, we now can see our Gemma here. So I can select that. And just so you can see, I also have a terminal open. And this is actually my Proxmox host. So we can run NVTop here, and you can see that we have NVTop basically just shows me my video card and what's happening on it. So if I go over here, you can see that it's obviously using some memory, just around 600 megabytes, which I guess is the model size. So let me just type in a question here. What is the... And I mean, Gemma 3 1 billion parameters is not a great model, but it can answer some relatively straightforward questions. You can even, do some web search as well. So here you can see that when I hit Ollama model, our GPU spiked a little bit okay, so I thought, okay, right, you can use it for chat, but it's probably not very powerful. What else could I use it for? And I also have another container on here to host a tool called N8N. So for those that don't know, N8N is a workflow builder, and you can build your own workflows. And I thought, okay, let me see, how can what can I do with this? So I started playing around, setting up some workflows. One of the things that I thought, okay, where would I want to use a private LLM? And I thought, okay, like I create my own to-do lists, and it would be nice to get a summary of those to-dos in Gmail every Monday morning, so that I kind of know what I'm going to be doing for the following week. So I created this workflow here. So N8N is a very simple tool. You can integrate with different systems like Todoist, which is the tool I used for capturing my to-do list, and you can hook it up to things like Gmail. There's lots and lots of integrations you can do here. But you can also pull in like large language model stuff. So we get our list of to-dos here. We have to do some manipulation to it just to get it into a format that makes sense for a large language model to look at. And then I can actually connect my large language model here that's running locally. This might be because I want to process some data that I don't want the hosts of, or the owners of the proprietary large language models to get their hands on. I mean, maybe this is a kind of like not a very useful use case because, all right, Todoist and Gmail are going to get access to my to-do list, but you get the idea. If you open up Ollama here, you can see that I'm running that, again, Gemma 3 1B model, and you can see I have my base URL set to my Proxmox Linux container. So if I want to test this, I mean, I have it on a schedule, I think, to run 7 a.m. actually every day. But yeah, you can set it to like just for, a week in advance. And for Todoist, you can connect your Todoist. I'm pulling from a project just for this video, project called House, which has my house to-dos on it. And let's run the workflow and see what happens. So you can see it's moving through the different steps, and you can kind of see here what comes out of these if I double click on them, put in more insulation in the attic, that kind of stuff. All right, my model is relatively slow, and what comes out of that is a markdown. So you can see here what the markdown looks like, and I want to translate the markdown to HTML so that I can see it in my Gmail. And let me just move on over to my Gmail, and you can kind of see what that looks like. So I've got an email task for the upcoming week, and it, based on the prompt, it categorizes and prioritizes them. And you can do different things here. Like I actually say what I want the LLM to do. So you're going to get you want to pick a theme for the list of tasks. You want to categorize them and prioritize them into P0s, P1s, P2s. So yeah, really interesting things you can do there. So that was one interesting workflow. Another one that I thought would be kind of cool is to set up an MCP server. So I've played around with MCP servers, coding them up using fast MCP and running them locally, stdio. But I thought, okay, let's see if I can easily create one on N8N and give it access to some information, and then I can set it up as an SSE one and make it available if elsewhere. So this is a very simple one here, but I created a workflow. N8N as a really convenient MCP server trigger, which allows you then to connect to different tools. So this MCP server is just running locally. You can get the URL for it so that you can add it to your MCP host. And then you can add in like a bunch of tools, and you can just go wild here. Like the tools that you can give to it, you can give it a lot of vector stores like PG Vector. You can give it, Airtable. In this use case, I'm just created or connected it to a Superbase server or Superbase instance that I have. But you can see, you can like literally go wild here. There's like thousands of things that you might connect it to, your email, I don't know what. So this Superbase, Superbase just has like, this is like a fake or dummy data that I have. So you can just like test it here. You can see it's just a bunch of emails that are in a table. So what I do then in the MCP server is it's connected, so it knows it has access to this tool. So I can load it up into an MCP host. So I'm going to switch over here to VS Code, and in VS Code I have Klein as an agent or as an extension in here. And I can add my MCP server Superbase here, so you can kind of go in and take a look at it and see what tools it has available to it. So it's called Superbase, and I can add, delete data from a table, and the only tool that I make available to it, and I can go back here and show, is just the operation get many. So this can just return data, but you could actually add more things in there if you wanted to. All right, so now looks like it. Let's start that again then. All right, get me the list of emails from the table. Okay, so it knows that it's going to use the tool Superbase, and it wants to access the table emails, and it gets the response, and then Gemini 2.5 Flash parses that information and gives me the list of emails. So so like I said, this is all running locally on my machine. I mean, if I wanted to access it from outside, or I wanted to, give other people access, you could host this publicly, or if I just wanted to access myself, I could use a tool like Tailscale, so that I could just get access to my this server while I'm outside. But yeah, that is what I wanted to show today.